All right, everybody, and welcome, or perhaps welcome back. If some of you were just in our other episode, the regular episode. Oh boy, Ethan, we thought we had a generational lineup, not a general lineup, but a generational lineup last year for T Classy, as the locals call it, the Chesterton Trojan Classic. And somehow this year we have an even more generational lineup. But before we talk about this year's event, let's take a brief moment to talk about last year's event. You and I were both in attendance. What do you remember about last year's Chesterton Trojan Classic?
I remember driving up there, and the weather was a little sketchy. It was a little sketchy from what I remember. And
There was some snow in the morning.
yeah,
Northrop had to drop out, I think.
Yeah, and we drove up there, got there bright and early for my favorite choir in the world, Mount Zion You've Got Mail, and they came out, and they just had too much energy for me, and I was like, this is gonna be a long day, but a fun day. It was amazing. It was the first time I've ever been in that school. First time I've seen a lot of these groups live in a long time, or if at all. I felt like it was really well run, and I felt like it being in two venues almost made it feel like it was like a gladiator-esque style event. Like it was like before, because like where the main parking lot is, you start walking out and you start like peeking in the other door of their big gym, or the big gym, or whatever it is, or the field house. And you're like, huh, what choirs are going on in there? And then you slowly just drift into that auditorium. There's show choir everywhere. You can't miss it. It's like, I don't know, it's like Comic Con, or it's Acapalooza, it's Lollapalooza. But for show choir, because it's just, there's so much good show choir going on all over the place. I mean, last year being able to finally see Linmar live was game changing. They, like, I know everyone says, they were one of one choir going into there. Like, you haven't seen a choir until you've seen Linmar. And yeah, I've seen videos here and there. I mean, who could forget the Devil Went Down to Georgia year, when they went to nationals and they swept it? Just an amazing show. And then I watched this year's show. I'm like, or last year's show, and I was like, that show truly has a completely different meaning to show choir than what I previously had. And it was vocals, it was showmanship, it was props, it was sets, it was everything under the sun, under the show choir realm, done perfectly. And I left there being like, Carmel got second, and they and it was their first competition of the year, and they wiped the floor. Like, literally, they had to wipe the floor because they were sweating so much energy, like it. And it was like, oh my goodness, this show's only going to get better. Where Linmar was more towards the back of the year, kind of. It was a fantastic event. Got to see choirs like Miller North doing the Coco Cabana. That was an amazing show. I love the show theme. I love the set. I love the Club Lola. I love how they just turned the song on its head. Because, I saw Brownsburg later in the year do Coco Cabana, and I just love that even though they were both Coco Cabana, they were completely different. Like, it was two completely different shows. Shout out Brownsburg. Probably didn't know you're getting a mention in the Chesterton piece, but you just did. Yeah, and there's Brandon, an amazing show by Brandon, which I ended up seeing two more times, which I don't get to say very often. It's just one of those shows where it's like, whoa, how can that be left out of finals? It can't. It's too much fun. Although, in all the costumes, and
too many costume changes to be left.
There were so many costume changes. I don't know if the group was ever truly on stage all at one point. And then you throw in Carol, and I remember sitting right next to you for Carol, and I'm like, dude, the judges want to see that again. I was like, I want to see that again, because I felt like the doors were just blown off the place, and everybody just sat there stunned, and it ended, and they were like, what just happened? And we're like, that was an amazing show, wonderfully crafted by the Carol team. It was just truly a fun show to watch. Great individual performers. I felt like the Tin Man, doing what he did, and of course the witches, and then of course just the house falling down at the end and Dorothy coming out. It's like, oh my goodness, it was just a wonderfully put together show. I'm probably missing a finalist. Am I missing a finalist I didn't mention? I'm
Linmar, Carmel, Carroll, Brandon, Miller North.
okay. Good. I got them all. It was just, sorry. I'm eating peanuts right now, so I'm
Small mixed, Danville, Pike, Mother Mac.
Mother Mac had a great showing. Shout out, really good Illinois choir there. The girls group,
Westfield.
Westfield knocked my socks off. They knocked my socks off last year. I was like, holy vocals. Like, they just came out, and I'm like, I did not expect that. Like, they came out with like a minimal show design, and they really just rocked the house down vocally. And it was just a fantastic show. I was really happy for my Danville peeps. It was a great showing by them. Who was the random choir that I saw that I was super impressed with?
Pike Mystiques?
No, but it might have been. No, wait. I think it was Pike Mystiques. Yeah.
Come on, I remember this.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Pike Mystiques. And like I said earlier, where like you're trying to leave for the exits, get your lunch break or whatever, and I slowly just drifted towards the field house, and I watched Pike Mystiques, and I was like, oh my goodness, they just had so much fun on stage. It was unbelievable. I like the the cafeteria food was great. The judging panel was amazing for both. Like I was walking into a tier 2 competition, and it was a judging panel of like Connie Mulligan and like Randy Sage. And
well, of course, you're gonna say it's great if Connie's on the panel.
Yeah, of course. But like I was like, you have a tier 1, like a top tier 1 judging panel for the tier 2. That's just how this competition rolls. Yeah, it was just a great day. My Twin Stations were there, so it was great to see them go up against great competition, like the one that was there. I mean, it's just a competition you had to be at, and this year is looking to be the exact same. Will, do you have any fond memories of last year?
Yeah, so the day after Chesterton last year is when I acquired this year Dickey's Barbecue Pit Cup. We're going to show that off for the masses. Shout out to the Dickey's Barbecue Pit in Bourbonnais, Illinois, right off of I-57, along with I believe it's a Church's Chicken and some kind of Mexican restaurant, all in that one truck stop. Dickey's Barbecue Pit, not a sponsor of the show. Certainly go there. Great food. They give you that gigantic cup as well. No, it was just a phenomenal day. Northwest Indiana, currently trying to build off the momentum of the Trojan Classic by trying to get the Chicago Bears.
It's not happening. It's not. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be.
And I just struck a nerve with my co-host here.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, like Ethan said, the event was just so massive in scale because where I come from in Wisconsin, there are no 2-venue competitions. They just don't exist. And to kind of step into that madness for the first time, I was just like, oh my word. And then we're sitting there trying to figure out who's going to miss finals at the end of the mixed division. And we're like, oh, man, like, I don't know. It's maybe Mount Zion and maybe Brandon and maybe, whoever else. It ended up being Mount Zion, but there were just so many good quality groups there. And Linmar, I will say, like, I was very, very blessed in 2024 or 2023. I saw Johnston Innovation. Well, okay, 2019, I saw Omaha West Side. That revolutionized the way I looked at show choir from a kid in Wisconsin who didn't really get into the national scene. 2023, I saw Johnston Innovation. That revolutionized the way I look at show choir. 2024, I saw Gretna. That revolutionized the way I look at show choir. Then I saw Los Al a week later. That revolutionized the way I look at show choir. Yeah. Then in 2025, I saw Linmar, and I was like, again, this is like my 5th revolutionized the way I look at show choir in like 3 years. So it was... Yeah, and at the end of the day, you looked at the top groups and you're like, Carmel wins 98% of the other show choir competitions in the United States of America and Canada and Scotland or wherever else Singapore, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they just, Linmar put a product on the stage that was just the best thing I've ever seen high schoolers do in my life. And that was that. And then I got out and drove to my hotel, got 20 chicken McNuggets.
I remember that.
Ate them and went to bed. And then I took a nice little run the next morning in Michigan City on the lakeshore while it was snowing. Just absolutely beautiful, picturesque scenes. And yeah, then went to the Dickey's barbecue pit and had a great time for the weekend overall.
Do you know what? Do you know what I was doing while you were sleeping? You know what I was doing.
What were you doing? You were driving to your hotel,
which we accidentally booked an hour away, hour and a half away.
I told you could
in Naperville. Naperville.
You drove all the way to Naperville.
Yeah.
Oh.
We got in about like 2 or like 2:30, whatever it was. Went straight to bed. Did you at least also went to like not the greatest Burger King, I think, and it was not that great. One last thing on Lynn Mar before we move on.
Yeah, we'll talk about this year's event soon. We promise.
Yeah, like last year when I watched the show, when you watch a California-esque show, like the ones Los Alamitos put on the year before that you and I both got to see, luckily, and I've seen John Burroughs before, and I've seen Los Alamitos in other years, but it's like with Lynn Mar, it just felt so simple. Everything was not like knock your socks off. It was just great show choir. It was just amazing how it was done. There was nothing that I watched where I was like, how did they do that? My brain can't fathom it. It was that show. It was that Midwest show choir, like instead of that California like musicale like type beat. It's where it's the movies and the screens and the Burbank. It's that show. It's that craziness and futuristic feel. Where it was like Lynn Mar is just that simple Midwest great show choir, and I was very lucky to see it. Yeah, I was blessed.
Absolutely. We do have a couple comments in the chat already. Sam says, see you there. We will absolutely see you there. And DJ says, love from Cosby Spotlight. We will definitely get to Cosby in just a little bit here. And we do also want to open up the chat for questions if you're watching live on YouTube.
Definitely.
This is a straight vibes only show.
Yeah, we don't know what we're going to talk about, really.
I mean, we have the list of choirs in front of us. We didn't do anything else besides that. So we want this to kind of be a what do you guys want to know? And we'll give our thoughts as well. But just kind of as we start the show, I think we'll hit the top division first because that just makes the most sense. Let's talk about the large mixed division. This one will be occurring in the auditorium. I almost said the field house, and then I said, no, you idiot. That's where small division's going on. We have 10 groups in this large mixed division. Oswego Commotion goes on stage at 12:15. The Carmel Ambassadors go on stage at 4:45. 30-minute time slots, no breaks. I think that you better be in the auditorium before Oswego starts.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
You better not get up until after Carmel ends. Because if you get up, you're probably not getting back in.
Yeah, and don't take me or Will's and I's spot all the way in the back where the outlets are.
No.
Do not take our spots.
No, back corner house right. That's homeroom. That's the homeroom. Do not take our spots. We staked that out last year. There's like a little laminated sign on the seat that says property of homeroom show choir.
Yeah.
Just kidding. If anyone from Chesterton is watching this, we did not vandalize your school property. Chris and Morris, please don't come after us. But
last year as well. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm super excited to see Sandpipers this year. They're doing a song by Flatland Cavalry, which is the first recorded instance of a show choir doing a Flatland Cavalry song. So shout out Flatland Cavalry. Something else where perhaps I didn't expect a mention on the Chesterton preview, but shout out Chesterton Sandpipers for that. Let's just kind of go through these groups one by one, kind of give our thoughts on where they stand coming in, what our expectations for them are, where we think they'll maybe wind up placing at the end. Let's start off with the 12:15 p.m. group, and that is Oswego Commotion.
How many groups make finals?
5 out of the large mixed division.
Their expectation is to make finals. Oswego. I'm just joking. It's not. Well, yeah, they want to make finals. Duh. However, Oswego, I mean, let's just look at who they beat last week, right? Let's. Is
that Wheaton-Warrenville South?
Yeah, and I mean, when I think of Wheaton-Warrenville South, I think of one of the best choirs in the country.
Period.
As a program. Oswego did that. I don't care what people say. In the end of the day, that Crete was madness and the scores, this, that, whatever.
Crete was absolute madness, but I'm not saying that in a derogatory way.
Yeah, Oswego, in the end of the day, they beat Warrenville South, the Classics, who is one of the best programs in the country, led by Dwight Jordan, who's one of the best choreographers in the country. It's monumental, and the fact that they're taking that momentum into this competition, I mean, they get to almost play free. They get to have their show like no worries, no cares. Yes, they have certain things they want to hit on, of course, because it was their second competition out. They didn't make finals at Milton. All right, look at me.
Yes, there we go. Someone's got some
I'm
memory
learning.
left in the bag.
But I mean, they have so much momentum. They can almost play this how they want. They could push it to the limit. They are just riding so high going into this. And I know not a lot of people even know of Oswego Commotion or even have heard of Oswego Commotion. However, you heard about Oswego Commotion after last comp. So, and they want you to remember them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a jump here. Finals is it's just such a tough task at a competition like this for anybody. And I know Oswego might be on the outside looking in. However, if any choir's hot right now and they're feeling themselves, it's Oswego. So I'm rooting for them. Being from Illinois, I hope that they can make some noise, and I can't wait to see it.
Ethan, I want to ask you something since you said that not many people know about Oswego. Did you know that Oswego Commotion is a co-op between Oswego High School and Oswego East High School?
I actually did not know that. Wait, maybe I did.
If your first gut reaction says you didn't know that, then you didn't know that. Stop trying to.
Well, I haven't seen Oswego in years.
You didn't see him at El Paso last year?
No, I definitely did not.
Oh man, you only got there for the afternoon?
Yeah,
Dang.
El Paso last year was something. So.
Oh wait! Oh no, they weren't even at El Paso.
I was going to say.
Oh, I was thinking of Batavia. That's who I was thinking.
Oh yeah, Batavia. I saw Batavia.
You didn't see Oswego at Janesville Craig last year?
No, I didn't. I didn't get up there.
Oh man. Oh man.
I don't know what their show is. I know they post choir pictures all the time. Oh, it looks like a trophy in the back. Didn't they do a racing show last year?
Yes, they did.
Oh, it's the same picture for some reason. Okay.
I believe they're doing a numbers show this year.
Ooh, who doesn't love a good number?
I don't know.
Maybe I have them all the way to number one.
Yeah. So I cannot verify that information. I apologize if it's wrong, but that's just what I have been told about Oswego Commotion. Let's move on to choir number 2 in the large mixed division. That is Northrop Charisma. This is a Dwight Jordan group, which is not the last time we will say that about this large mixed division. What do you think about Northrop?
So, I mean, this is excuse me. They got third place last man, these peanuts are really, not doing me great right now. But I mean, they're really tasty. They just got done being at Carroll, which was kind of a crazy result. If you were just listening to our recap, I mean, Franklin Central, they got the win. However, it was with visuals and not vocals. A Lafayette Jefferson group who has 30, a little bit, maybe they're probably under 40 people, no doubt. Got the best vocals caption against a group who's notorious for their vocals in Franklin Central, who, of course, will be at this competition. Northrop was in the midst of that whole thing. They ended up getting third. So it's going to be really, really interesting because, they kind of already got a lick at some of their competitors, that being Franklin Central. And they had a really good year last year. I mean, they were kind of across the board with their third and the fourth, and I believe they even got some seconds in there as well. I don't think they ended up winning the competition, but I feel like they're a step above Oswego in the probability of making finals, no doubt. However, they're still on the outside looking in, and they're just one of those Dwight Jordan groups where it's like, oh wait, they're a Dwight Jordan group. It's like, oh, I just forget. I should say Dwight Jordan. I should say Dwight family. The Jordan family, doing their choreography. It's gonna be very interesting to see where they place in this. Last year we got prelim results, right?
I don't know.
Did
Let me check. I don't think we did. I think they didn't announce them. That's for sure, because I think there was some dispute afterwards.
Oh,
on
okay.
Who placed
so there are
where.
some are on here, but I don't.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is I don't think we will have prelim awards at the announcement.
Yeah.
Or
So
prelim placements. Captions will have.
I feel like it's a tall hill to climb for Northrop. However, it's definitely not out of the question that they can make a run here.
Northrop was supposed to go to Chesterton last year, but then had to bail last minute due to weather. Do you think that lights a little bit of an extra fire under them?
A little bit, because they were the only choir who dropped out, I believe, out of that whole field. And so it was kind of like, and they're from the state of Indiana, correct?
Yes.
So,
yeah. Fort Wayne,
so they kind of had not the longest drive compared to other people, and they still were unable to perform. Yeah, they definitely didn't want to miss last year. And they didn't want to miss last year. So they're finally getting a chance this year against the same caliber of competition, maybe even better throughout the whole board. There's going to be a fire under them for sure.
Let's go to group number 3 in the mixed division, Gretna Revolution. Thoughts off rip about Gretna?
Peanut. So, Gretna, everyone's looking at them as a top, I will say podium, like an already podium placer, which I'm kind of like, whoa, let's slow the brakes a little bit. Gretna is one of the best choirs in the country right now. There's no doubt about it. However, they did lose already this season. They got a second place finish. To who will? I forget. Linn-Mar, which, yes, one of the best choirs in the country. They got a huge win last week. Huge win against Millard West, right? And
Mitchell.
I was about to say Waukee. I don't know why that. But Mitchell. It's gonna get lost. A lot of things are gonna get lost. We're naming some of the best groups in the country throughout this whole thing. I'm gonna forget some of them. But yeah, I mean, this is a choir that's already been battle tested this year, and they already have a big win going into the season. When we were talking to, I believe, Quinn, who we just had on in our preview last week, he was like, Gretna has to win here to have that momentum going into Chesterton to have a shot. And they did just that. I mean, they had an amazing outing. Yeah, I hope to see them on podium, especially for a Nebraska choir coming this far and as good as they are. I want to see them podium. I'll make podiums. I'll make predictions at the end, I think, if Will lets me.
Yes. I'm not going to stop you from doing anything.
Revolution was just one of those choirs that came up so fast, and they've been doing an amazing job. And the fact that they are going out of their way to go up against, this monster field, just like Linn-Mar did last year from Iowa, it's going to be a huge task on them. But in the end, I feel like it's going to be really, really rewarding. So they know where they stand in the huge national field.
I have the highest expectations for Gretna in all the best of ways. This is a show choir, and there are probably some members still left in it from that year that in 2024 hit me at the right time in my life with the right show, and is probably the most impactful show that I've ever seen live. Technically, was it the best? I'd argue that Linn-Mar 25, Los Al 24, and Johnson 23 were all technically better shows. But in terms of impact for me, the two Gretna shows I saw live, eyewitnesses can attest to this. I was crying so hard during the ballad that a Gretna parent who was seated in the next row up in the bleachers literally tapped me on the shoulder and offered Kleenex to me silently. That's how much of a ruckus I was causing, because that's how much I loved that show.
Yeah.
And now, with a second place to Linn-Mar and a vocals choreo win over Millard West, my expectations for this group are huge because I know they are capable of great things. On the teardown this past weekend, go listen to it. Go watch it on YouTube. It's not on Spotify. Go watch it on YouTube. From February 7th, our teardown host, Chris Mendoza, said he could realistically see Gretna placing anywhere from 1st to 4th of this competition. I think that's a pretty fair read on it. Mm-hmm. You don't know where Brandon's going to stack up. We'll talk about Brandon a little bit later. You know that Carmel and FC are veritable Indiana Titans. There's just so little overlap in between choir 3 states away and the Indiana choirs that you just don't know. And that's going to be one of those things where even after prelims, we might think that we have a read on it. And then everyone makes improvements to their shows for finals. And then you just kind of throw your cards up in the air and say, well, whatever hand I was going to play has just been disastrously changed. Not disastrously, but very decisively changed. So Gretna, I would argue, is my biggest wild card here, and they are the choir that I am most excited to see. So lots of my love to Gretna. Fourth choir up, 1:45 p.m. Waubonsie Valley Soundcheck.
Waubonsie.
They're not from New York. They're not from Boston. They are from Illinois.
I love Bonzi. I actually got to see their show this year, and it was a great show. I feel like they're taking steps in the right direction, which you love to see. I feel like they had really good numbers on stage as well. Post-pandemic wasn't so nice to them in the numbers category. Same with a bunch of other Illinois choirs. It hit everywhere. Illinois definitely did feel it, and Waubonsie was a factor in that, or a victim of that. I mean, I feel like the show is really, really fun, and I think judges can look at it in any which direction. I forgot what the show theme was, but I remember some specific numbers. They ended up doing like a really cool medley with Kendrick Lamar's "Not Like Us," which is different.
Oh dear!
Which is different, and it was so funny. I remember I was watching the live stream, and I was actually watching it with my family for some reason because show choir Saturday when you're not competing, just put it on the living room, watch it. Good competition. And
you've got a good living room to watch it in too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got an open living room over here. But yeah, we were watching it, and then you just hear dun 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 dun, and everyone's like looks at each other like they are not about to. They are not about to do what we think they're gonna do. And I think there's another choir also doing it that someone mentioned.
Someone from New England, I think.
Yeah, and
let me see if I can pull that.
Maybe Waltham. I think it was Waltham. But it was so funny because
Lawrence Central.
Okay.
So also Indiana. I don't know why I was thinking New England. But
it would have been
Lawrence Central
thing though.
Lawrence Central did it in a medley with 10 Dual Commandments and Bad Blood.
Wow. Well, Bad Blood is a Kendrick Lamar song.
Yes, sort of. I mean, featured.
Does it pass as
yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, back to Bonzi.
Yeah, so Bonzi, they are just one of these choirs that I feel like they're on the come up. Like they're doing a really good job bouncing back from the pandemic, and they're putting on very fun shows to people to see. I don't know how the judges will see how it translates into a field like this. I do see them on the outside, sadly. However, with the White Jordan choreography and that classic Bonzi look, it can translate in very, very good ways. I feel their first competition, didn't they end up getting 5th or 6th?
Yes, they were 5th.
Yeah, and I mean it was very good competition in Wisconsin. So, there's no shame to it, especially for a program like Bonzi, where it's like we are just slowly but surely growing and turning back the clock. So, I can't wait to see how they place here, and if they can make some noise, oh my goodness, the state of Illinois will be on fire.
Yes,
Bonzi.
Bonzi, for whatever reason. Also, first off, shout out Waubonsie Valley, high school home of one of my favorite NFL tight ends, Troy Fumagalli. But Bonzi, they just seem to show up in these big lineups, and they're part of what make these big lineups so deep. They were at Wheaton in 2024. They were at Wheaton again last year. They are now at Chesterton here this year. And while they didn't make finals at Wheaton either the past 2 years, and I would agree with you, Ethan, it's probably an uphill battle. Certainly not out of the question, but probably an uphill battle for Bonzi to make the finals round here. They're just a valuable part of what makes these lineups so deep. Because if you have 5 phenomenal choirs, but then only 5 phenomenal choirs, you're like, this is still going to be a great competition, but prelims is just kind of la-di-da, because unless someone really overperforms outside of that mix or someone sandbags, it's a pretty even cut. With groups like Bonzi, where you're like, okay, like they're perhaps maybe not in my provisional top 5, but there's certainly a chance that it's been a couple weeks since Milton, and there's a lot of time for rehearsals in there to work on your show, and there hasn't been a ton of adverse weather during that time period. Things can happen. And that's one of the reasons why this lineup is so intriguing. So I do just want to give a shout out to Waubonsie Valley for that. We will move to large mixed group number 5, and that is Cosby Spotlight.
So you said biggest wild card is Gretna, and while I do agree, then you throw in this amazing Virginia group, and it's like, what is like going to happen? Quick fact check me since we're done with show sheet. Is this like the first time they've competed past like Ohio?
They went to some Indiana competition a couple years ago, Homestead maybe.
Oh, that would probably line up.
Okay, no, so they went
Yeah.
to Andover, New England in 2024. In 2023, they went to Homestead. In 2022, they stayed totally local. In 2020, they were also local. I think they started traveling kind of after the pandemic. Yeah, so they've been to Indiana before, but that was Fort Wayne, and this is Northwest Indiana. So I would say a little farther than they've been before.
Yeah, that I mean it's going to be a tall task, and the fact that they already have that past competition kind of under the belt is good. I mean, you're not going in blind traveling wise, right? So that's good that they got that. Yeah, this is just a group where I don't think a lot of people know where to place them. Like I feel like when you ask the consensus and you ask people for their predictions, they really just don't know where to place Cosby. I've seen them from I don't know. I probably have seen them from fourth on down. But yet people don't know because they've been so dominant in their field for so long. It's kind of like the same situation with Daniel Hand when they go out of state or when they go to a national competition. They have these undefeated seasons, and then they get to nationals, and then they kind of blow up in the face a little bit in terms of placement. They still make finals, but still just blow up in terms of you look at their choir sheet on showchoir.com, it's 1-1-1-1-1-1, and then a 6 or a 5. It's just kind of those tough things where you just truly don't know unless you're in that choir room or you're a parent or a spectator that's seen this choir so many times that you're like, yes, I know where they're going to place. And of course, being from Central Illinois, I definitely don't know where they will eventually land. I feel like Cosby overall is a really good vocal choir from what I remember. Really good vocal choir in their region. I feel like if they really want to make a statement here, it's going to be with their feet. It's going to be with their dances. It's going to be with their arms. It's going to be how sharp they are. I feel like if they are able to make that jump, I feel like they're going to impress a lot of people, and that includes judges. Yeah, because I'm just going to look back through their previous history. Yeah, it seems like they win, vocals pretty much everywhere they go. They didn't win at Andover last year, but pretty much swept everything else. But then, they go to the year where they were undefeated. They win best vocals and best choreography, but then there's no best choreography across the board at some places. But again, when you're beating, I just looked at the one that didn't get best choreography. It was the Andover in 2024 when Auburn went up there and they stole best choreography. Cosby got the win, and they ended up beating Waltham and Daniel Hand. It's just, again, I'm just going back to the sentiment of you truly don't know until it happens. However, I am rooting for any group who's traveling this far and wanting to get their hands dirty and see where they place in a national competition. Like I said, with Gretna, even though Gretna may be in a more powerful local scene. Cosby's really going out here and being battle tested, which I love.
Absolutely. Those were a lot of words. I will distill them into my own thoughts of Cosby. We saw them split captions with Manchester a couple times last season. I think some people may look at that on paper and be like, oh, they're not even sweeping their own state. I don't know if that's valid or not. I've never been to a Virginia show in person, and it's almost impossible to judge quality accurately based off live streams. However, I do also appreciate your sentiment of any group that is lugging all of their equipment this far. You got to be rooting for them at least somewhat, right? To just obviously have the best run of their show that they have because this is their first competition of the season. But then also, part of you is like, yeah, like they, it would be really nice for them to make finals because to do all that. And obviously the folks that are in Spotlight and Rhapsody, they're going to get 2 shows, right? But for your guys in Spotlight, if they do all that for just, 14 and a half minutes or however long the show actually runs this year, that's tough. So Cosby, maybe not my biggest wild card, but certainly perhaps the first time group that I am most excited to see. Although I think I haven't seen Oswego, haven't seen Northrop. I think I've seen everyone else. Okay, so only a couple of first-time groups here for me personally to see in person. But I would say of those, definitely my top pick. We'll go to Franklin Central FC Singers. Those of you who just were in our Show Choir Nation episode 44, you know that FC had a little bit of an eventful weekend at Carroll. They did still take the win. However, they did not take both captions. They took best visuals. Best vocals went to Lafayette Jefferson. Ethan, does that impact how you look at FC going into this competition?
Kind of, but not really. I feel like they're still a really, really strong choir, and I feel like this is a choir. If they show up, they can win the whole thing. And I don't know how their show is this year. I haven't seen it. But one thing I do know is I was lucky enough to see the Lafayette Jefferson last year, and overall, as a choir, they are getting better even with their small numbers. Like, they are a choir that can sing. I can confirm that. So them not winning the best vocal caption isn't too scary. However, if you're Franklin Central, you're like, we have to win the vocal caption because they are just so good vocally. I'm going back. Let's go back. I'm going back in time. See when
we're gonna go back in time. I've heard that song too many times.
Or you can go back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu. If you know, you know. I'm going back to the last time that they got third place, and I might have skipped one, but so far it goes all the way back to 2020 before the world got turned upside down.
We're gonna do a Snopes fact check on this.
I think I'm right. Yes, I'm right.
Keep yapping. I'll keep looking.
Yes, I'm right. You don't have to look. I'm right.
No, I'm gonna look anyways.
They haven't gotten lower than second place since before the pandemic, which is unbelievable when you think about it and how good that Indianapolis circuit really is. Is that right?
What? Avon Vocal Invitational 2020, Brownsburg GC BVBC, Fishers 1RU, FC Singers 2RU. Let's look at these comments.
Yeah, they gotta be kind of wild.
Top comment, +9. Just oh boy. Man.
I feel like we're gonna have a few after this competition.
Yeah, but I feel like everything's so close that there's really
you can't really
no way for it to be an
Yeah.
Last time before that, they were 4th at HOA Orlando in 2018, where they lost as you well know, Los Al, Burroughs, and Center Grove. Let's break out our standard segment of Ethan's competed against everyone.
Somebody happened to be at that event and performing. Yeah. And I remember going into that, kind of like translating that into this, like, besides it being Orlando and not the home state, like, they went into that competition and everybody was scared crapless of FC Seniors because we had no idea what kind of trouble we were getting into with them. They just dominated the circuit in 2018. Their vocals, I remember people being like, it was the most heavenly vocals I've ever heard. And every single SC comment about Franklin Central, it was like, they are the most dangerous choir in the country. And we were like, oh no, we're literally shaking in our boots. And we go down to HOA, and they definitely didn't get the placement that they wanted, or that a lot of people even saw them having. However, they went up against groups, like you just said, Los Alamitos, John Burroughs. Third place, you say Center Grove? Was it Center Grove? Yes, it was Center Grove. So it will be very, very interesting to see how they come into this big competition after dropping the vocal captain. It, like, again, different competitions have different scoring and different ways of looking at different panels. However, I remember vividly watching them in 2019 and being like, oh my goodness, this is like one of the one-of-one choirs that could truly knock your socks off with just their voices. So I know that they're ready for this big task. I see them, using those vocals and using that choreography to get a really good placement here. And I feel like, if they're able to get this competition under their belt and beat a group like Carmel, who's in their region, it's just one of those things. It's just a step up, right? And I know with the Center Grove right now being a really good choir, It's just one step closer to possibly even toppling them. So that's how I'm looking at Franklin Central going into this. Like, they have a huge ceiling. I don't think their floor is very far down.
That's a great way of putting it. FC, part of the Indy Big Three that our Homeroom Indiana staff so often refers to. This will be a bit of a proving ground for them. This will be a bit of all right, you still won at Carroll last week. Now the big guns come out. There were 3 groups in the large mixed division at Carroll. There are 10 groups in the large mixed division at Chesterton, and they all pack a punch in one way or another. Even if we go all the way down the line, everyone's got either a placement or a finals appearance, or it's their debut so far this year. There's no one in this large mixed division that's just been consistently out in left field all season long up to this point. And FC, I think, a lot of people would say they're locked to make finals. Other people maybe would say, well, after losing a caption, maybe they're not a lock to make finals. I think at a competition like this, I have very few locks for finals. Do I have any locks for finals? Probably. I mean, I would say probably 2. You know what? I'll say probably 1. I'll say Carmel's probably my lock for finals, and everyone else, like, there's a non-zero probability that, you have a bad run, like you get out of sync with a band for a song or this or that or whatever, like costume racks get flipped on the wrong side of the stage and like 10 people miss the costume change. Like, there's a non-zero chance that apocalyptic things happen and you miss finals. And I think that's just part of the beauty of it. So we're going to move on to our 7th group in the large mixed division, and that is Wheaton North Flight.
Wheaton North Flight, if you can hear me, Wheaton North Flight, do it for us. Do it for us.
Who is us? Do I want to be involved
in this?
Put on for
Illinois.
Right.
Put on for Illinois, please. So they are right now. I don't think you can look any other direction in Illinois right now and think otherwise. And I know I just voted on our Illinois, rankings post. And
let me pull your response up real quick.
No, don't do it.
Spill the beans. They're coming out. They're coming out Friday. Won't spill the beans here, but
I like, even though they didn't win a caption and won, I felt like you had to put them in first place as the best group in Illinois. They were my 1. I will say that they were my 1 in my ballot, and I know that some people have said they lost a lot of seniors last year, a lot of great vocalists in that group. However, when they're rocking with their feet and their arms and their choreography, April James is, one of the best to ever do it, if not the best. Like, it's going to be hard to sit there and be like, this choir does not have a shot for a top spot here. And I feel like a lot of people might be sleeping on Wheaton North. Now, I know, especially after their outing last week, even though it resulted in a win, you look at caption splits where El Paso, it's best choreography in 3rd, and then you see, which, by the way, like, they're addicted to doing it. They are addicted to getting 3rd place in best choreography, or honestly, just best choreography. They are addicted to best choreography. Yep. They are addicted to it. And then was it Davenport North who got best vocals in 2nd? Which, yes, I did not see that happening. So it's just credit to Davenport North and the steps that they're taking as a program, right? I feel like they have a long way to go. However, no one can count out Wheaton North and the program that they are and what they have the opportunity to do to prove to a lot of people that they are still that choir. And it proved to Illinois, which is in chaos right now, that they are they are the top dog. Like, if they get 4th up, it's like, well, until they get beaten by an Illinois choir or beaten by someone that they shouldn't get beaten by, they are the top dog. And I feel like this is a great opportunity for them. And as them being the representative of Illinois with Waubonsie Valley and Oswego, I wish them all the best of luck. Put on for us. Put on for us.
Well, I may or may not have just looked at your rankings ballot.
No.
I will not share what you put.
It's honestly kind of fair. It's kind of
I will not share what you wrote, except that you put Wheaton North as your 1 spot, which you already said. So I feel like it's fair that I say that. But Wheaton North, man, as a Wisconsin kid who didn't get out much, we competed out of state a grand total of 1 time during my 4 years in high school. Wheaton North was one of those groups that they would come to Milton and they would light up the gymnasium. Saw Bonzi at Milton my freshman year, saw Wheaton North at Milton my sophomore and senior years, I think. And boy, howdy, they were just electric. And are they still like a super massive group this year? Do they still have like 70 plus?
I still believe they have the same numbers. From what I last heard, but I know they graduate a lot of upperclassmen.
Which on the one hand is nuts, but on the flip side, they're going to be right at home here. Just massive groups. Like you talk about FC, you talk about Carmel, you talk about Gretna. Like these are large, very large. I'm not going to go all the way and call them obese because every performer that's in the group is auditioned and deserves to be there. But these are very, very hefty groups.
They're gonna get sound on stage.
Wheaton North is going to be right in the mix here, and no caption win. Those happen in show choir pretty much every week now, it seems. So I don't think that's anything to sneeze at by any stretch of the imagination. I certainly think they have to be in your thoughts for your predictions. Even if you don't put them in finals, I think you have to give them a good, hard look, especially after showing up and showing out at Wheaton last year in a very similar nationally stacked lineup. They've got to be at the forefront of your brain. And that's all I'm going to say about Flight right now. We're going to move on to mixed group number 8 in the large division. That is Brandon Brio. Okay, well, I'll start.
You can start. No, you can start.
Okay, well, I'll start. Brandon's 2 for 2 on the year so far. Brandon is a program that is going to Chesterton for the 3rd consecutive season. So, Brandon, I look forward to seeing you at the Chesterton Trojan Classic 2027 already. This is, I don't know if we can call it a wild card, but it almost feels like a wild card because Southern shows are just an entirely different animal than Midwest shows, which are a different animal than East Coast or even Virginia shows and all that. And so they just bring something to the table that nobody else at this competition will, because there's nobody from the West Coast here. There's nobody from New England here. I mean, there is Cosby from Virginia, but Southern shows are just a different breed. And they will have that in their back pocket, and that can either work for them or work against them. And I think it just depends on how they execute the show, because executed well, a Southern show in a Midwest competition is a total game changer. See Grenada at Mount Zion 2025. When executed poorly, a Southern show in a Midwest competition just kind of looks like an ugly duckling. Also, shout out Grenada and one of their show themes a couple years ago, because there are some things that don't click. And to brains that aren't in the process of seeing that every week, it just looks really, really out of place. And so I think it's up to the kids and the performers on stage to execute the show to the best of their ability. And then the cards fall where the cards fall. And they made finals. They were 5th here last year. Or were they 4th? They were 4th. They were 4th here last year. I apologize for the misspeech. They were 4th here last year. I'm sure they thought, man, it was really close with Carol. It'd be really nice to get her get back. They will have a chance to get their get back this year. They're also dealing with, I would argue, more contenders, because I think this year we're looking at 7 groups that have a large possibility of making finals. Actually, we were dealing with 6. And then one kind of group where we're like, okay, that's cute. Or it was going to be Northrop, but then they bailed out due to weather. So we were simply looking at, when the afternoon came around, just 6 groups in the mixed division. And now we're looking at 2 groups in the mixed division. And really, even for a group like Bonzi, where it's like, okay, we don't think they're going to make finals, but there's a chance. You got to have that in the back of your head. And so Brandon comes into this competition. They're 2 for 2. They took down, the Joneses, so they've kept up with the Joneses for this year. And beating West Jones, as it turns out, is a beating Homewood level accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And all of this goes to say that I think that if there's one thing you can count on with Brandon, it's that they will put up the best fight that they can. Are they going to make finals? I don't know. I'm not comfortable putting them in as a lock, but I know that the kids will execute, and I know that the kids will make you think long and hard at the end of that show and say, man, I know that we still have Carol and Carmel coming up, but can I put them ahead of enough shows where I would provisionally put them in finals right now?
That was very well said. So, I mean, you touched on a lot of points like I was going to bring up. Last season, when I got to see this group 3 times, the show ages really, really well. And I feel like, I mean, that's a universal thing for a lot of choirs. However, with Brandon, I feel like that's super true. Something that does, I know it's gonna be their third time, so they've been here twice before, but just looking at last season alone, last season they made that jump up to the Nebraska competition where they did very well. Which that was very hard competition. Now this season, with it being the Joneses, now I know one of the Joneses just literally beat Homewood, and I mean, Joneses are very very strong choirs. However, like personally, when I look at like the Joneses in West Side, they don't really match up as the same. Which I believe that's who they lost to last year. I just feel like the competition that they've gone up against is just not the same as it was last year going into this competition. And when you're truly have not like been like pushed or battle tested, it could show dividends in the outcome at your next competition, and especially at a competition with this much star power. It's just so weird because, like you said, I think you touched on a really good point that I was going to bring up. Last year, only one mixed choir wasn't going to make finals. This year, there's a handful of choirs who are not making finals that are really, really good. And this is card you play, and that's what happens when you sign up for Chesterton, especially for the third year. They know what they're getting into. They know the battle that they're getting into. They know how to travel up there. They almost have an upper hand on Carmel, or I believe, who was last year the first time back last year in a while.
I think so.
I think they took a little break off of Chesterton for a while, and then
Actually, hold on, Carmel.
Or did they win a lot in a row? It's
one. No, they won a lot in a row.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it's one of the two.
Let's take a look. 2024, 2023, 2022,
yes, yeah.
2020.
Then everyone started
and then Carroll won 2019 with an appearance by the Enterprise Encores.
Oh, so maybe that's where they're
talking about a little Southern flair. Wheaton North, previous winner of this competition in 2018.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. That was a really good show.
Beat put two groups in finals that year. Oh, my word. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting off topic now. We'll do a Chesterton history show sometime.
But yeah,
Wheeling Legacy in finals. Wow, Wheeling Legacy, not expected to be mentioned on the.
What a throwback.
Do you remember Wheeling Legacy?
I do. I remember.
I think they quit your 8th grade year.
Yeah, no, I remember watching.
Oh, no, they quit your freshman year because they went to Decatur.
Did they go to Glenwood?
Let me check. No, El Paso, Hershey, Janesville, Craig, Decatur.
Janesville, Craig. Okay, nice.
I think that was the inaugural Janesville Craig comp. Anyways, all right, we are really far.
Yeah, we're gonna have tangents, but yeah, Brandon, I feel like
we're almost an hour into this thing already.
I feel like they have a really, really high ceiling here, but again, I feel like their floor just taps missing finals. Like, if something goes wrong, and I remember watching them at Mount Zion last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, the screens didn't work for a little bit, or
finals,
yeah, in finals, some didn't go their way, and I don't think it made that huge of a difference in their placement. However, it's just such a huge part of their show that it does to the performers, which they ended up putting on a fantastic show without it. I thought they did a really good job improvising and adapting. But yeah, stuff like that happens, and you never, like you said with the last group we just talked about, you never truly know what could happen and what could go haywire, and what end of the day, it's what the judges think, right? So I feel like they have a really high ceiling, but that floor is, I feel like, just missing finals. So that's what my thoughts on Brandon.
We will move on to mixed group number 9 in the large division, and that is Carroll Magic.
Now, talking about a group that has a ceiling.
Now here's a guy.
This is a choir.
Okay, Chris Collinsworth.
Little Mahomie. No, I'm kidding. This is like they just notoriously, from what I've heard, and now I've only seen a Carroll a handful of times and kept up with their history and so on and so forth. They're much like I was told a comparison to like Grenada, and how Grenada shows they are either really on, like really, really on, and then the next year they might not be so on. You know what I'm saying? And especially being in the region of Fort Wayne, it's kind of hard to get a grasp on things. However, they already have a win this year. They beat a really good choir at ETC from Ohio, who's currently, trying to get back on the come up. They had, a few years where they were a monster in Ohio, ETC. So still a very, very, very good win for Carroll. However, it was in that Fort Wayne area. right? So going on the other side of Indiana, can they do it again? Can they put on one of these amazing, fantastic shows? I hope so, because like I said, when we were doing the introduction and talking about last year, they were one of the shows where everyone was like, we did not expect Carroll to show up and play, and they showed up and played. So they could get anywhere from what I think is third, possibly, to being kind of in the same boat as Brandon as possibly missing finals. It's just kind of all willy nilly, and I just know that they are an amazing choir, and I hope that they make finals. And I wish that for a lot of these groups. I mean, everyone. I feel like everyone's gonna go out there and perform and deserve to make finals. It just sucks that some people can't. So I feel like Carroll has a really good chance to be like, yeah, we could put 2 great years in a row together, and I feel like they have the star power to do that.
Yeah, Carroll, I feel like has the potential to, on the high end, be like second here, and at the low end, miss finals. Like I'm going to say for pretty much every group.
Yeah, same.
I will say early returns out of the Carroll Classic are that they are electric once again this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I have anecdotal experience saying that Carroll is going to be very good. Again, we led off the top of the show with Carroll was incredible last year and blew our jaws off, and our jaws hit the floor. We're going to have that expectation for them this time. We know what they're capable of.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
It's hard to do it again, but we've got dedicated, driven performers all across this country in show choirs who do hard things. And Carroll, are they going to have to absolutely fight tooth and nail for everything they get? Yeah, of course. But I think they're up to the challenge. And I think that they will absolutely have a bit to say in the way that the final results go. We are almost an hour into the show, so we will finally move on to the last group performing in the large mixed division, the Carmel Ambassadors.
So, would you agree, Will, that going in?
I don't agree with you.
That you never do. That going into this,
my job as the co-host,
they are probably the odds-on favorite. After last year,
I'll give you that. It is their last competition appearance is a win at Show Choir Nationals.
Yes, and like it's hard to go against that, right? And I remember watching that choir last year and then get second and be like, Are you kidding me?
And that was their first comp of the season. That was
arguably
the least clean their show was the entire public season.
And the whole time I was on the edge of my seat. It was the most energy I felt in the whole room. I think the only other time was, Lynn-Mar just being that, like, what are they going to do next factor? But
Lynn-Mar made standing up look interesting. Sorry, I didn't make
they did. Yeah, they did. But it was just like Carmel. If Lynn-Mar's not there, they knock that. They walk away with the GC. And they
and a pretty clear one at that, I think.
Yeah, they want a great competition. However, I feel like they wouldn't have want that. They want Lynn-Mar there. They want this great competition. They want to beat the best because they want to be the best. That's just kind of one of the programs that Carmel is, and that's the standard that they've held themselves to. They get these constant battles with Franklin Central, who they're going to run into here, and they're going to have to do it again, but as well as Center Grove, who constantly prove themselves on the national stage of being one of the strongest choirs in the nation. And if you're Carmel, you look at last year and be like, you know what, we lost, but we lost to a great group, and we know how great we are because we clearly just won Show Choir Nationals. Let's come out of the gate with a little fire under us, right? Let's get this one out of the way so we can hold that standard all season long instead of having to try to climb back up after this competition, which it's not really climbing back up when you lose to a group like Lynn-Mar and you get second place, right? But I just know how they think and the competitive nature of that program. So I can't wait to see how they do here. I think they are I don't want to say no matter what, because that's a loose term nowadays in show choir. I don't know anything after this past weekend, but it's like they are I think they're a podium lock, and I feel like they're almost a top 2 lock. It's just kind of what show they present to the judges and what they have to have on store. But again, this is one of the best groups in the country. Will?
I think podium lock is a fair assessment. I would say Carmel is probably my one finals lock here. And not only will I lock him in finals, I will lock him in the podium. I just have too much faith in the consistent standard that this program has. And not only on stage, but also kind of the caliber of human beings that they have as well. Because you can be an incredible performer, but you can crack under pressure as a person. And then all of that great performing stuff just kind of goes to waste because in your head, you've already cracked before the performance has started. I know the caliber of the leaders at Carmel. I know the caliber of the human beings at Carmel. These are not people that will take the bus up to Chesterton and be scared. They may have a healthy respect for the competition. In fact, they should have a healthy respect for the competition.
Oh yeah.
But this is not a group that will be running scared, not in any sense of the word. And are they going to win this competition? I don't know. I won't know after prelims. I honestly, this is going to sound terrible of me, but I hope I don't know after finals. I hope it's close enough that the caliber of all the shows are good enough where I'm just like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to throw my hands up and say, here's how I personally like these shows, but I have no idea how all the people at the back table are going to play it, but do I think that they are the odds-on favorite? Yes. Do I think that performing last in prelims is as big of an advantage as it would be at some other competitions? No, because awards are in the field house and not in the auditorium. So usually when you're last in prelims, everybody's filtering in because they know it's you and then the host and then awards. Awards are in a different spot, which I guess is somewhat common in Indiana, but it's just me and my background. I don't think it's as much of an advantage, but I also don't think that they'll need that advantage. And I also think that wherever they wind up drawing in finals, because I don't think it's an order of prelims placement. I think it was random last year. No matter where they fall in finals, I don't think it will be an advantage or a disadvantage to them. So they're just going to be there. They're going to do their show. I have not heard what their show is this year. I don't want to hear what their show is this year. So if you're in the comments from Carmel, please don't spill it. I just want to see it and experience it. Those are my brief thoughts on Carmel. Yeah. Do we want to make predictions for the large mixed division?
We sure can. And you know what, Will? You always let me go first. I'm going to let you go first.
Great. So let me start out with the groups that I think will miss finals. I think here's are the ones that I predict will miss finals. And again, if this is your first time watching the show, all the usual disclaimers apply. These are predictions. Please. We're not taking it personally. Please, you don't take it personally because it's nothing personal against your group. This is just us looking at stats plus what we've heard about groups this year, and also a mix of intangible vibes that may make me do things that defy all conventional wisdom. So groups, I think,
can I add one more fact?
Yes.
We're also doing this on Tuesday. And yes. I'm going to tell you, like, as soon as I walk in there or when I walk in there, that's when I'm going to make my final prediction. So it's going to change 20 times.
Groups I think will miss finals. Oswego, Northrop, Waubonsee, Cosby, Brandon. Do you want me to do my whole predictions or do you want to also
you want to break that down a little bit?
Sure, I'll break that down a little bit. Oswego, great podium finish last week. I don't know if I've seen the consistent juice out of Oswego for them to seriously contend for a finals berth. And Northrop, also just kind of in that vein. I don't know if they would have made finals at Chesterton last year. Great group. I just don't think they have the juice to do it. Waubonsee, kind of in that same category. Great show, finals caliber show at a lot of competitions, just not at this one. Cosby, I do seriously. And I get that it's just how it is when the Virginia season literally also starts this weekend. In fact, I've got a Virginia season preview that I really should have edited and published by now. Cole, I promise that thing's going to see the light of day very, very soon. But you have to be running 100% as Cosby with your first run of the show being on a competition stage this year, being Chesterton prelims. You can't run it at 99% because then you leave something on the table. And you can't run it on 101% because then you start pushing, you start going sharp, you start jumping ahead of the beat. You have to be running it at exactly 100%. That's a very, very hard sweet spot for any group of collective humans to do. Additionally, I just, like you said, Ethan, you have made a very astute observation when you said their visuals are going to have to get them there. I just don't have the direct comparison to Midwest groups to give me the confidence to put them in a final spot. Brandon, this one is more or less just process of elimination because of other groups that through recent results, I'm like, oh, like I've got to put them in finals. I've got to put them in finals. This one is much, much less of a I am unsure about Brandon and much, much more of a I ran out of groups really fast. And if this was a 6-group finals field like a lot of other states, then I feel like I'd really be putting them in there. Yeah. It's just one of those where one of those groups has to be on the outside. Do you want me to launch into my top five?
Do you want me to comment on that? No, I
sure.
I feel like that's I feel like that's a fair assessment that you made, and I'm honestly, I was thinking along the same lines. You know, I'll say mine after yours, but it's honestly, or should I say mine now? I feel like you.
Here, do you want to give your 5 that you don't think will make finals right now?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll give it a run. So
you can see how much prep work we put into this show.
Yeah, that's what we do. I'm in the same boat with Oswego and Northrop. I feel like it's just too tall of a hill to climb. Especially
running up that hill.
Yeah, running up the hill, especially so fast. I feel like them being the first 2 to perform, it's just such a tough ask. Even though it's at 12:15 and 12:45. However, like the first one out of the mixed to go, it's gonna be tough, and I feel like it's just such a tall hill to climb. I'd love to be proven wrong though, and one of these choirs just shocks everybody. I mean, I love when that happens. I'm also on the outside looking in. I'm also thinking about Waubonsee Valley, which it hurts. However, you can't rush the process, and I don't think Waubonsee Valley is doing that. I think they're doing things the right way right now. I just don't think that they make a finals appearance at a stacked competition like this right now. I love Waubonsee Valley though because they always compete in these competitions. And what was it, 3 years ago, where they made a huge impression on maybe Ohio? That I'm fact checking that.
I think it was last season. At Fairfield, maybe.
Yeah, Marysville. Yeah, Marysville. They got second, and they beat Chesterton. Shout out Chesterton. Olin Tangi's having an amazing year this year, and Beaver Creek, and they only lost to Fairfield. So I mean, Bonte's done it before when the odds are stacked against them. You know, they have shown that they can withstand it. Just for safekeeping, I'm going to have them out. However, this last 2 is super, super tough because, like we just said, if you're not on top of your game, it's just sorry. It's sorry, Quintins, man. It's just how it goes, and that's why you sign for competitions like this, right? You want to go up against the best, and sometimes it just means you just didn't make the final cut. Trust me, I know. I mean, my Sweet Stations were the only mixed choir didn't make it last year. Trust me, I know how it feels. But I look at the rest of the field, and I'm like, is it really anything to be mad about? I mean, we were the 6th choir out of a 6 choir field, but it's one of the best in the nation. So I feel like there's a lot of pride. However, when looking at the big picture, I feel like everyone can be truly, truly happy with how they performed in the grand scheme of things. Like going out and doing this is just a blast. And it's something you always remember going to competitions like this. Missing finals. I have 2 more groups missing finals. Oh, it's super, super tough. I'm going to go with Cosby. Like you just said, I think it's just super hard right now to compare Virginia to these Midwestern giants and Southern Giant. It's just super, super hard right now. And I haven't seen one of their shows in a long time, and maybe I need to do some more of my homework. And honestly, probably after this, I will do it, and I will switch my prediction if they exceed them. But it's just super, super hard seeing them crack in this field right now. And being in the middle of this humongous lineup, it's going to be tough. My last.
Can I butt in real quick?
Yes, please.
This reminds me a lot of Neosho at Mount Zion last year.
Yes.
Where they were a choir that ran their circuit, had super high expectations coming in, unfortunately didn't make finals. However, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe if we say that we don't think they're going to make finals, maybe it'll be the opposite. I don't know. However, it gives me a lot of those vibes. sorry.
It really does.
Continue.
And I mean, I just saw Dio show this year, and it's a step up. Like they had a great competition at Troy this past weekend. And going to competitions like Mount Zion and not making finals, it gives you a little fire, right? This last spot, I'm gonna be straight up honest. I think it's down to Brandon and Wheaton North. I that's my initial reaction when looking at it. You can also probably throw Carroll kind of in that conversation. But again, that's 3 groups, so I'm just naming the groups at this point. But it's if Wheaton North, his last win wasn't quote unquote like but it being as split caption as it was, where they only won best band. If it wasn't so dominated by them being like, oh, we didn't win a caption, could things turn out different? I'm thinking, or my thought process, where Brandon is kind of just a bunch of unknowns, going up to this competition for the 3rd year in a row, where they put on a fantastic production every single time, and I always leave enjoying their shows. It's almost on the aspect of, does something go wrong? Because I feel like I've seen too many Brandon shows where something is just a little bit off, and I don't think that's going to happen here. However, I'm in the same boat of leaving them out of finals, and I'm giving the nod to Wheaton North. I feel like when you go up and you get a no caption win, like they did, it truly means you are good in every single area, and it's not just vocals and best choreography. And I feel like they're going to shock a lot of people, and no matter what, I feel like those two are going to be fighting for it. However, again, I haven't seen their shows, and they have massive ceilings as well. So it's truly going to be a one-on-one battle for that final spot, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, Will.
So is Wheaton North your 5 then?
So as of now, they are probably my 5. Now I'm going off of what people said about Carroll and how they did already this year. If they are like how they were last year in their storytelling and their choreography and their vocals, as of now, I'm going to have them over the edge of Wheaton. However, if Wheaton, goes out there and like, yeah, we still have this many members and we can still sing, it's going to be really precedented that they can jump spots here. And if any choir can do it, it's definitely Wheaton North.
I also have Wheaton North as my 5. They have a propensity to show up in the biggest moments, I think. Yeah. You'd be hard-pressed to look at a big Wheaton North moment in the past few years and be like, oh, like they didn't really live up to my expectations. Last year at Wheaton Warrenville South, they were 3rd in a big event. A couple years ago at Chesterton, they were 4th in 2024. This is a group, Glenwood 2023, they were 2nd. This is a group that just has a track record in the past few years of being there when it counts. And I think they will make good on that again. My 4th place group is Franklin Central FC Singers.
Okay.
And
there's no right or wrong. So
this is just the gut feelings. And I know that hungry dogs run faster, and they're a pack of hungry dogs after getting a caption taking off of them. Again, this is just one of those kind of process of elimination. Like, there are so many good groups that I have reasons to put on my podium. In fact, there are 3 of them. There are 3 great, phenomenal elite class groups that I have good reasons to put them on my podium. And then just like Franklin Central's chilling there. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, I guess 4th is where they'll be. And someone's probably going to clip that, and it's probably going to go in a group chat. And if I can be flamed for it after the fact, by golly, just, don't make it personal. Just chide me for my gut leading me wrong. But I do think they'll make finals here. I think there's a very, very, very small chance they don't make finals. It exists, but it's very, very small. I do appreciate that we're seeing FC just lock into a top 3 battle this early in the season. We get a little NC up here, North Central. If you're listening, please bail out of Pike and go up to Chesterton. I don't want this competition to end at 2 a.m., but if you could somehow make it work, that'd be great. And just this tough battle early in the season, I think will pay dividends for them later in the season. Obviously, they host in 2 weeks. They'll have CG Bomb the week after that, I believe, or the week before that. And I just kind of ran out of spots in the podium really early and had to put FC in fourth.
Yeah, I know, and I've been kind of thinking the same thing. I don't know though. It's gonna be tough task, and I feel like this whole thing is kind of revolving for me. It's kind of revolving around Carroll, and like Carroll last year. Going in, a lot of people didn't see them as a contender for finals, or not a contender. They were definitely a contender for finals, but as a podium group at this competition last year. Then they go on and they win multiple competitions, and that included winning against Ankeny Centennial at HOA Orlando, which is another fantastic competition this year. And so it's like, man, when Carroll's hitting, they are hitting, and I just don't know where to really place them. I have Franklin Central from anywhere from second to fourth. And because I feel like you go to so many national competitions sometimes where it's just the in-state groups, they just know how to perform in-state. I don't know how to explain it, but it happens so many times. For example, I remember this was out of state. However, it was two Southern show choirs. I remember going to Glenwood in 2019, and it was a stacked field. However, the top two groups at the end of the day were Clinton and Petal. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Sometimes, they gain up on people and they work together. It's like one of those things. And the rest of that field was like Center Grove, Miller North, Mount Zion, Decatur, or maybe not Decatur, but, a handful of.
Rip Decatur, by the way.
Yeah, it was Wabanzi. They were in there. It was a really, really, really good mix of choirs. However, the top two groups were from the South. So I could see them getting anywhere to second. However, the vocal caption to Lafayette Jefferson makes me think, and it's not, a shot at Lafayette Jefferson because we heard them sing last year, and they were unbelievable singers, especially with the amount of people they have on stage. They just know how to project. They are fantastic, and Mark Myers is just incredible at getting stuff out of his kids and his students, and so that's an applaud to him. However, I'm also going to put Franklin Central in my fourth spot because if Carroll's hitting, they are hitting, and I don't want to be on the wrong side of wrong side of history if Carroll has it in them again.
So my third place group is Carroll Magic. I think Carroll put down a high bar for themselves with last year's podium finish. I think they're up to the task again this year. Early returns from people I trust say that they're just as phenomenal as they were last year. I'm like, great, that's all I need. Another vote of confidence in them. Who won that Best Soloist award for them at Northrop? It was Emily Potter, I believe.
Potter, yeah.
And Emily Potter has now won 4 Best Soloist awards in her last 5 competitions.
Wow.
And so I think when we start looking at individual caption awards, which are arguably the most – wait, they didn't do Best Soloist here last year. Oh, no.
Wait, they did it?
No.
It was probably too close to call anyway.
Do you believe that? Ugh. Okay, so I guess last year there was no Best Soloist caption. So I guess we're not even looking at predicting individual captions. But that Emily Potter and the rest of Carroll is going to bring it. And the gut feeling says they're there. The gut feeling says they're podium choir. What do you think?
I'm in the same boat, but I'm going to have them in second.
Who's your third place group?
I'm going to have Gretna Revolution in third.
Okay.
And that's not any shot, and it might just because I want to be different from Will. and because our prediction was lining up exactly the same, and I want to switch it up. No, I don't know. It's we saw Linmar do it last year, where they come into a house like this and they do it in incredible fashion. And Gretna Revolution has every single ability to be able to do the exact same thing Linmar did last year and more. I truly do believe that. However, it's just something about traveling out of state, and I know, and this is a credit to Nebraska and Iowa. You know, that's one of the toughest scenes in the country. It is. There's no doubt about it. When you look at the groups that they go up against on a weekly basis, it's astounding how some of these groups are able to continue the standard of excellence that they've been doing for so long. However, like, I know Gretna's been in tough competitions before, and I know they go up against Limar. I know they go up against Omaha West Side. I know they do all this stuff. Even Gretna East, who is now an amazing choir. It's something is just telling me that Carroll really wants to grow upon the opportunity that they were given last year. And so as of now, I'm just going to give them the nod. And that's kind of crazy for me, personally thinking a group from Fort Wayne, Indiana, could possibly get top 2 at this competition, while, you know, a powerhouse from one of the best scenes in the country gets third. And you know, it's definitely a crazy sentiment. However, you know, it wouldn't be a Show Choir Nation podcast if there wasn't something that was a little out there. So that's my little out there take.
So that is your 3-2 prediction.
Yep, and that of course leaves Carmel the Ambassadors. It's just, I don't know. Watching them last year, I feel like they're like, okay, yeah, we want to prove that Linmar was the only choir that could beat us last year. Like, I know didn't they lose somewhere else?
No, in prelims they did.
Yeah.
Prelims in Show Choir Nationals they did.
Well, that's what I was thinking. But it's like they proved that they were definitely top 5 choir in the nation last year. No matter what, I think top 3 probably. I don't know. There's a lot of amazing choirs out there, including Johnson, Linmar, Center Grove. So definitely, I'm thinking top 5. And they lost to number 1. This is their opportunity. And I know they're so hungry for it, to be like, yes, we are them. We are exactly who you thought we were. We are one of the best dogs, one of the best choirs in the country, and doing it at a field like this is amazing. However, I know they're itching for another Linmar. I know they're itching for a rematch with Linmar. It's not happening, but however, you're still facing Gretna Revolution. You're still facing Carroll. You're still facing FC Seniors, Brandon, and Wheaton North, and all the others, Cosby. It's going to be a bloodbath regardless. And I just can't wait to end up in the SC comments at the end of it, seeing everyone's reactions.
So my second place group is the Carmel Ambassadors.
Mm-hmm. I knew you were going to do it.
I really am becoming predictable, aren't I?
No,
this is terrible. I need to become a little more chaotic. No, I take that back. After this past weekend, I totally take that back. I try to pick up your slack. No, I'm kidding. Oh, yeah, and this is just absolutely frying me, man. It really is. And this is why I love the game so much. And I referred to the game in just sports ball slang. This is why I love it so much, is because I know that, you know, through God's luck, I am well within driving distance to this competition where I don't need to take any days off work. You know, I can leave Saturday morning, be back Sunday night, because goodness knows I'm not driving all the way back Saturday night. But this is a competition where I look at it and I'm like, even all the way down to like 7th place, I'm like, this group wins like 50% of the competitions in America.
Yeah.
And they're going to be 7th place here. You know, maybe like 30% for 7th place, but still. And when it comes down to the top 2, it's like unstoppable force meets immovable object. You know, and the
hydrogen bomb coffee baby.
And it's just one of those things where you have to make a decision, and whatever the decision is, the decision just is. And my decision is Gretna, because I am biased, and I will fully admit to that. But put the right hand up, like I will fully admit to being biased. You know, love the state of Nebraska, love their show choir Steen, love Runza's. Love the American Motor Speed Museum in Lincoln. Love pretty much everything about Nebraska. Love the Sandhills. Love that one truck stop with Indian food in Ogallala. But just something about it says the best critique of your show is going up against Linmar and then working to better it. And clearly that worked for Carmel last year. And I think that's going to work for Gretna again this year. I just have so much faith. And I also have a lot of faith in Carmel as well. I think the gap between second and third will probably be the biggest gap in finals, in my opinion. I think you would beg to differ probably because you would put Gretna in third, but I think personally the gap between 2 and 3 here is going to be the biggest gap. And that means it's a very small gap nonetheless. But when we're talking about this much versus this much, I still think that's the biggest gap. So just to run down the line, my predictions, I'll give Gretna choreography and band. I will give Carmel vocals. 3rd place, Carroll. 4th place, FC. 5th place, Wheaton North. Ethan, for posterity, your predictions.
Definitely going to change because even before this call, I had Franklin Central in second. So but out the one, I'm going with best choreography. Carmel, the Ambassadors. They're going to be my 1. Carroll's going to be 2. Can they win the best band caption?
Carroll?
I don't think they can.
I'm not sure.
And they won best band last year.
Oh, they did.
But I don't know. There's so many freaking good bands. Like Wheaton North has a kicking band, and anyway, there's so many really good bands. I guess I'll just leave that out there then. I'm gonna have them in second. I'm gonna have Gretna Revolution in third with vocals. Then in 4th place, I believe I had Franklin Central. And then in 5th place, I had Wheaton North. I feel like vocals was going to be a huge key. And I feel like a lot of the groups are going to match up vocally. I feel like the group that moves the best might have an upper edge. That's just kind of what I'm thinking right now. And there's going to be a lot to be seen with this. And so for me, that means I have Cosby and Brandon missing out, as well as Oswego, Waubonsee Valley, and Northrop. Did I miss me? No, I think I did. Yeah, this is a 1-on-1 competition, and I'm gonna change my prediction probably as soon as I hop off this call. Definitely not posting it anywhere, not making that mistake. To get called out upon 2 days later. Because hindsight's 2020, right? But anyway, it's gonna be one of those generation competitions, and I hope I get up there, if time dictates. So, Chesterton always puts on a great competition.
You hope you can get up there.
I hope I can. Yeah, you're right. I hope I can get up
there.
You
told me an hour and a half ago that you were going to be up there.
That's the goal. It's the goal to be up there. Anything can happen.
Do you need me to pick you up from your house on Saturday morning? I will drag you kicking and screaming to this competition for your own good.
For those that don't know, I'm trying to do a double feature. Let me see. Carmel supposed to go on at 4:45.
Yep.
Shoot. And yeah, Naperville still hasn't posted their lineup besides I posted it. So
toot the horn a little bit there.
Yeah, toot a little horn, toot. Yeah, it was like I dropped it before they did. And the competition's in 4 days, 3, whatever. I just dropped the lineup, guys.
So finals at Naperville start at 7:10.
Yeah.
I think you can do that.
Honestly, yeah, I could definitely do that.
I look forward to seeing you for Northrop Charisma at 8 a.m. Or Northrop Allure at 8 a.m.
I probably won't be there that early, even though we advised everyone to be there that early.
I will be there that early. Come find me. Back of house right. Come find me. 8 a.m.
If I have to stand in the back of the auditorium for as long as I need to, I'll do it. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of it.
Okay. Well, we don't believe in saving seats here at Homeroom Show Choir. We are
sure. Yeah. Do not do that. It's the
worst. No. Please don't save seats at this
comp note. Oh yeah, that and shout outs. Comp no.
Oh, please. Chesterton, if you're watching this, if anyone from Chesterton is
did they do shout outs last year?
I don't think so. Please, any competition organizers, if you're watching this, kill your plans for shout outs right now. It's not worth the money. Very few people are in favor of it.
That or MCs just rambling. It just makes time feel longer. Just feel like, you know what I mean? Like I don't
Yes.
know. Just tell me what I need to know, and I don't shout out a judge here and there, but I don't need life lessons type stuff. So
Unless you're Wes Chaplin, then go ahead and do anything. Shout out Wes
I guess go
Chaplin.
ahead.
Wes Chaplin and Art from Lacrosse, two GOAT show choir MCs. So those are our predictions for the large mixed division. We are an hour and a half into this show. Ethan, how much longer do we want this to go?
I don't know, Clue. Not very much longer. I mean,
okay, do you want to speed run small mix right now?
Yes, because it's gonna be I'm gonna be rambling anyway, so I feel like it's best to just kind of keep it to a minimum because I'll start spewing no facts at all and just words.
Middle mixed. Pendleton Heights, Pendletones, Gretna Evolution.
Hold up, I lost the competition on my sheet.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. We go full.
So okay, so here. I'm gonna go with Carol's show this year has me forgetting I was watching show choir and not a wait. Can I read? Carol's show this year had me forgetting I was watching a show choir and not a Broadway show. You just raised up a really, really good point and a really great debate that we are not getting into tonight. But yes, I mean that does mean it's a very professional look and it's clean on stage. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean that kind of makes me more in faith of my original prediction. So but yeah, I mean I love show choir. Not as much as Broadway, but in the end, it's all show choir to me. So, Will, thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, it's just what Carol is.
I was gonna say nothing's really different.
They are productions. Let's run through middle mix and small mix because they're all competing for the same 4 final spots. In middle mixed, Pendleton Heights Pendletones and Gretna Evolution. In small mixed, Triton Rhythmic Revolution, Wawasee Warrior Soundscapes, Twin Lake Soundwave, Belmont Brave Generation, Columbus East Center Stage, and Bloomington Amplitude.
So,
assorted thoughts on the division as a whole.
Yes, yeah, just my quick thoughts. So I had boots on the ground last week that got to see Pendleton Heights. And I know they ended up getting third, correct? In their division. Yes. And
third best quarter.
Yes, and they said that they moved very, very well. However, they were just a little underwhelmed by the vocals, and that's probably only because of Pendleton Heights' track record, which is phenomenal. It's one of the best track records in Indiana. They are just a fantastic choir. However, I'm leaning towards Gretna in this situation, at least in the Tier 2 mixed division. I just have to. I think I'm giving that edge to Gretna Evolution. I know it's a prep choir, and I know prep choirs do a little bit different in different scenarios. I know, looking at what they have, like they got second at Gretna in their division. Who did they lose to? They lost to Linmar and Step, who was at this competition last year. And oh my goodness, do they put so many people on stage? Linmar and Step, yes, so many people. But then they made finals last week last week up at Pilling La Vista South. So, I mean, and they beat Millard West Uptown. So, I know how strong those choirs are. So, that's why I'm leaning towards Gretna Evolution in this division in this Tier 2 final, correct? Tier 2 final?
Yeah, we'll just call it small mixed finals. Yeah,
because
it's technically Tier 2 and 3.
Yeah, you're right. And then the other ones, I mean, Columbus East is having a very good year. I can definitely see them making some noise. I've always been a Bloomington Beat fan. I know they probably haven't got the results that they've wanted as of. Oh no, wait, they have. I guess I haven't been paying attention. Sorry, Fisher's last week.
They got caught lacking.
I did, but this is exactly what I meant. Like,
put their hand up.
The reason why I love watching them is because they have so much fun on stage. And if you watch the podcast, you know I say that all the time. If they can dance, if they move their feet, if they're sharp, if they're clean, if they're together, I am a fan of theirs. And Amplitude has been doing it for a very long time in the Tier 2. I can definitely see them making some noise. I'm probably my top 3 soft rip, I'm gonna go Gretna, Pendleton Heights, Bloomington Beat, and Columbus East. Those are gonna be my top 4.
Yeah, I think the calculus does fall into line a little bit easier on this one. In the small mixed division, so tier 3, if you're looking at the showchoir.com page for this, we have a trio of groups. We have Wawasee, Twin Lakes, and Triton. Triton, their last competition was at East Noble in 2024. Wawasee, they are a mixed group this year after being a women's group last year. In Twin Lakes, Ethan, you and I were actually at the most recent Twin Lakes Soundwave competition. Where was that?
Was it Glenwood?
Wheaton 2024.
Oh,
so this is
you're right. That was awesome because like you looked at the whole list.
And it was like, what's a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?
kind of.
With all due respect to Twin Lakes, what was that polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas that day at Wheaton?
That was the exact scenario. Wait, what was like? There's one other choir there where it was kind of like
Watsika, I think.
Yeah,
and that was like because that will go down as the last Watsika Sensations comp, unfortunately, unless they somehow get their numbers back up. But that program's dead in the water. I think Rip Watsika. Sorry, not trying to catch you with stray. I really hope you can get back off the ground at some point in the future.
Always.
Also, valuable late season Illinois small school comp.
Always.
Except that Hersher got canceled this year, so rip that too. Anyways,
rest in peace.
We have these 3 groups where we're like, okay, they are building the program. And when you're building the program, you're not really looking at finals. Belmont, they've been around forever. They just have not experienced a success on paper that a lot of people have or that a lot of other groups have achieved this year or as of recent years. So last year, but they didn't place in any of their small mixed divisions. So I think we can kind of take Belmont out of the calculus for this as well, which leaves 4 groups for 4 final spots. Columbus East beat Pendleton and Gretna. Give me Gretna Evolution with all the captions because if you beat Millard West Uptown, obviously you're not contending for finals at an event like this, but you're contending for finals and making finals at a lot of other events in the country. Gretna goes on at 4:15, which is the same time that Carroll Magic goes on. Oh, brother. Because I want to see Gretna's Evolution show. They did a chess themed show the last time I saw them at Totino, and it was great. We'll see if I can.
Darn it.
However, give me Gretna with all the captions, Pendleton in 2nd, Beat in 3rd, and Columbus East in 4th. I don't know if Beat has the juice to be 2nd here. However, they always seem to just make it happen. They snuck into a very competitive small mixed finals last year. I just don't know if they have it in them to outperform Pendleton or Gretna. So those are thoughts on small mixed. In similar fashion, we will move over to the small single gender divisions. This one even lighter. There are only and for Chesterton, that's, whatever. But there are only 2 final spots up for grabs in this division. In the medium women's division, we have Waubonsie Valley Resonance, Brownsburg Bella Voce, and Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites. And in the small women's division, we have Mother McAuley, Mac Melody. 2 final spots. Let's get it.
This is for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, correct?
No, it's just tier 2 and tier 3.
Just tier 2 and tier 3? Okay, so yes. This will be very interesting, especially for a group like Mother McAuley. They just had a once-in-a-lifetime placement. It can certainly be higher.
It could be the start of the next Tupelo Synergy trajectory.
That's exactly like they just knocked off one of the best single gender choir groups in the country. Wheaton Warrenville South is a staple in every single conversation that you need to have if you're talking about the best in the country in terms of treble divisions. So the fact that they're able to do that makes me kind of on edge. Like, could they do it again? It's going to be super tough. I have not seen Waubonsie Valley Residents this year, but they did get 4th at Milton, which was the last spot in that treble division against Fort Atkinson, Waconia, and Sauk Prairie. So that's not looking too good. Like if you're making predictions or on the forefront. Brownsburg, they are in attendance. I was so wrong earlier.
No, not just the 3rd group in the program.
I know, but you said
yeah.
But I said,
I remember this now. So I totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember when I said Brownsburg probably didn't think they're going to get a mention in the.
They probably did think they were going to get a mention
and they probably did. So yeah, I guess I just didn't scroll down far enough. I feel like they're a dog here. Didn't we see them last year?
They had like 80 people on stage when we saw them at Glenwood. It was nuts.
Glenwood, yeah, and that means they beat Homewood. And oh no, wait.
No.
Open division. My bad.
Yeah. So they beat Herscher and Pekin and Highland and
Peoria.
Or maybe not Herscher.
Peoria. No, I think I said Herscher.
Maybe Herscher too.
No, yeah, Herscher Class X.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anyways.
Second. Yeah. And Highland Dissonance. Shout out Highland. But yeah, I mean, they're a group that when the opportunity is given to them, they've always done, they've always performed. And I feel like this could be an opportunity. However, I am leaning towards Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites as of right now. They are the one with the most recent win. I mean, best vocals, best visuals, especially against groups like Center Grove Accents, Franklin Community Sensations, Ben Davis Sounds, Noblesville Sensations. I mean, those are all really good tier 2 single gender choirs, treble division choirs. So they're gonna have the nod for me. I'm gonna give them the 1. I'm gonna give Mac Melody the 2. I hope they can continue the trajectory. I'm gonna give Brownsburg the 3 and Waubonsie Valley the 4.
Pendleton Heights has won 14 of their last 15 competitions, including an undefeated 8 competition season last year. And I think Brownsburg Bella Voce will beat them.
I love that. Yep.
At Brownsburg Bella Voce, I get it. It's kind of the same deal as Gretna Evolution and like Linmar and Millard North last year. Like, you can't really put these groups in the varsity division, but it also feels unfair putting them in the small division because they're not small groups. Yeah. They're just not. And Indiana just doesn't have the prep structure that Iowa and Nebraska have. Brownsburg, they have a gigantic prep group. I think it will be enough. It is the first competition of the season for them. So you will have some, especially if they weren't show choir in middle school, where it will be their first show choir competition. And by golly, watch all the shows you can. Do not spend a second more than you have to in the homeroom. Get out there and watch all the shows.
Definitely.
But I've never seen Pendleton Emerald Suites live. I was supposed to see him last week or 2 weeks ago at Edgewood, and then they dropped a couple days before the competition. But from what I've seen from Brownsburg Bella Voce, nothing tells me that they won't win this division here. So I'll go Brownsburg at the 1, vocals and choreo, and Pendleton Heights at the 2, Mac Melody a very, very solid 3. I think Bonzie is probably headed towards another 4th place in overall small women's. Real quick, we'll touch on the middle school division. The only group in this division is Bloomington beat Syncopation. So shout out Syncopation. They will probably still announce you as division winner, even though you did not compete against anybody. And you will be one of only a handful of groups at this competition to be a division winner. So shout out Bloomington Syncopation.
Looking at their season so far, they got a 2nd place finish was best vocals. They lost to Noblesville East Vocal Revolution, who got best visuals. But their first competition this year at Batesville, they swept the category, beating Norwell Night Sounds Middle School and Southmont Young Originals, which is a cool name. So they're used to being in the top of their division, and it seems like they're gonna win this one as well.
Absolutely. So that brings us to large women's. This is the final division that we have left to cover. The listed groups on showchoir.com for this one: 8 a.m. Northrop Allure, 8:30 Cosby Rhapsody, 9 o'clock Brandon Bellas, 9:30 Carroll Select Sound, 10 o'clock Franklin Central High Voltage, 10:30 Carmel Accents, then the Chesterton Drifters in exhibition at 11 a.m. However, today it was confirmed to me that Westfield Illumination will be performing at 9:30.
Oh,
I do not know the schedule implications of this. I simply had that piece of information confirmed to me. I do not know what this means for the wider schedule. I do not know if someone dropped and this is an addition. I do not know if they are pushing Northrop, Cosby, and Brandon and Carroll half an hour earlier. I do not know if they are pushing Carroll, FC, and Carmel a half hour later. So then Chesterton Drifters go on at 11:30. I have no idea. All I know is that Westfield will also be in attendance and performing. And if you were here at the start of the show, and you're here now, goodness gracious, thank you so much. But if you're here at the start of the show, you remember Ethan saying that Westfield really knocked his socks off. And I would like to second that. Westfield came out and they sang so beautifully. Visually, you could tell that they were a very young group without the several years of choreography experience that some of these groups where the performers have been in it since 6th grade and middle school and going all the way up have. But they're definitely a group that can make noise. Enough about Westfield specifically and onto the entire division. We now have 7 groups tentatively, assuming no one dropped, and I don't think anyone would because they're all companion groups to large mixed choirs. 7 groups, 3 final spots. We'll do overall thoughts on the division as a whole instead of going down group by group.
This is an amazing division. I mean, this is gonna be a great showing for a bunch of these choirs, and I mean, 3 of them performed here last year, and they had success. So it's very it's gonna be very telling to see who's used to the stage or not. And I feel like that's going to be a huge showing. I know Brandon Bellas didn't make it last year. I think Malzahn LaFemme's made it over them. It was just a super tight competition last year, and I think it's the exact same this year. I feel like it's going to be super tight. Yeah, and I feel like you throw in like Franklin Central High Voltage, who competes in the Indianapolis scene, who is super tough, especially when you throw in like the Deb Tones and Fisher Sounds and a bunch of these other choirs. It's hard, and in Carmel Accents, it's super hard to get your feet under you if you're a choir like High Voltage. However, they already have a win this year. They have a win at Carroll. Best visuals, no vocals, but as well as best crew, and they have a really good soloist in their division as well. So it's really only time can tell what's truly going to happen here. I'm leaning towards like Cosby Raspity being in finals. This is a choir that constantly beats their mixed choir and constantly beats large mixed fields in their region. So I'm kind of leaning towards them being one of the spots, kind of being like Mount Zion last year, where the mixed choir didn't make it to finals and their single gender does. So I'm gonna have them in that last 3 spot. So that means I'm probably going to knock out Brandon, Carroll, Franklin Central, and Carmel. I'm going to have Carmel in one of those spots. So only one left, Franklin Central or Brandon. I think it's going to be Franklin Central. I think it's going to be Franklin Central. I just named 4 choirs though. So, and there's only 3 final spots. I'm so tired. Okay. So I guess I'm knocking down. That hurts. I'm going to knock down Franklin Central. It hurts, but it can happen. I mean, this is a division that is consistently changing. I really liked Carol's show last year, Select Sounds. I know we said it in the moment, but like the main performer last year, where she ran around the stage, she had to wear like a Fitbit or something because her steps were incredible. Like how many steps she took throughout that show was wild. The Tomb Raider show. So I don't know. I feel like Carmel's gonna win it. I'm gonna go Carroll at the 2 and Cosby at the 3. And it's wrong because Brandon Bellows and Franklin Central also have the ability to make noise in this tier 1 division. Will, you're looking at me crazy. I know I am crazy. Tell me I'm crazy.
I don't think you're that crazy. The more you spoke about that, the more I'm like, you know what? This guy's got a point, and he only has a few good points per year.
True.
But this is one of those. I say that in all jest. I would not do this podcast with anyone else besides Ethan. But I think you have a very well-reasoned point. I also think it's my duty to be different than you as podcast host.
Definitely.
Or as a co-host. The last time Cosby Rhapsody did not win their division was the Homestead Classic Showcase in 2023, where they took a caption off of the Zionsville Corollaires. Now, granted, there are very few people, if any, left from that 2023 group now, because they would have had to be freshmen in 23 and now seniors.
Yeah.
However, they got that track record, man. They got that track record, and it's hard. However, I'm going to say something that you said earlier in this show, and it's that in-state groups know how to perform in their own state.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see this being large women's finals being exclusively an Indiana party. I see Carmel Accents going 1 with vocals and choreo. I see FC High Voltage going 2. And I see Carol Select Sound going 3. Carol Select Sound to me was so close to having a phenomenal show last year. It was like 5 incredible numbers, and then the wheels just fell off stamina-wise in song 6 and 7.
I agree.
However, I think that since me, like a random guy who does a podcast, was able to pick up on that, I think the directors were obviously able to pick up on that, and they're able to, A, design the show this year to eliminate that issue, but then B, also rehearse to eliminate that issue. And I think that's a very clear and defined path forward, and I think they'll be better for it. Would it surprise me to see Cosby Rhapsody make finals? No. Would it surprise me to see Brandon Bellas make finals? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. They were third place in division at Mount Zion last year. However, you don't know, who's lost a big senior class, who has a really up and coming sophomore class coming in, this and that. It's not very true. It's not like it's a stick and ball roster and they're all wearing jersey numbers and you can look and say, okay, the starting point guard is a senior. We know he's going to be gone at the end of the next year and they're going to have to bring someone up from JV to replace him. You really don't know. And that's part of the chaos of it. Yep. Westfield, they did just take their first ever women's division win. Certainly a group on the come up. Don't know if they'll have the juice to make finals. And I say that with all the love. They were a very recent addition to the Indiana show choir scene. Those of you who know me, I've literally written articles about here's every show choir group that's debuted in a certain season. I love my new choirs. I love my building programs. Would I be shocked to see them in finals? A little bit. Would I be mad to see them in finals? Absolutely not. I think you and I thought that they were very close to finals last year, and then it turned out that our opinions varied greatly with the judges' opinions.
Yeah.
But it's one of those deals where we thought they weren't that far off. It's just going to be one of those deals where out of this large women's division, because it is a little bit smaller, I think maybe you look at Northrop Allure that maybe they have the numbers, but not necessarily the results and say, okay, I think it'd be a very big stretch for them to make finals. However, you look at pretty much everyone else in this division, you're like, you've got a fighting crack in it, and maybe it's a more uphill battle for some than others, but it's very, very close.
Yeah, no, I feel like you brought up a lot of really good points, and I agree wholeheartedly with a lot of them. We just don't know too much. Like, we don't know enough to make certified predictions. However, like, Brandon Bellas put on an amazing show last year. It just was such a cutthroat field where it was just like someone had to miss it. And then they went to Mount Zion and they did a fantastic job at Mount Zion. And I know they did a great job at, was it Miller North or West?
West, but that was before Chesterton.
Yeah, and like
they made finals.
And like I know that they have that dog in them. I mean, they proved it so many times, and seeing them at Brandon, it was just another testament to how great that choir is. And again, they're just like their mixed choir in the sense of they know how to put on a show. I feel like it's just keeping the energy out throughout the whole thing last year that kind of was a key factor to me. And like, and what's a good part of energy? It's vocals. And when you go into a tough scene with a lot of native Indiana treble choirs who are notoriously some of the best overall vocalists in the country, it's super hard to go in there and make your vocals sound better than or as good as theirs. And so, I know they try to pick it up a lot in the visual and other categories.
Absolutely. So, with that all being said, we have covered every group that's on this lineup, including the middle school. We've made predictions for all 4 divisions, which will absolutely get flamed.
And they'll be wrong.
Ethan, I'm going to throw it to you for a segment that only you can do because I don't do this kind of stuff.
Okay.
If you've got family going to the Trojan Classic and they say, oh, I'm just here to see you, I don't really care to see all the other shows, where should they go for lunch?
Oh, my goodness. What was it called? I got to look it up. I got to look it up. I know what it's called.
This was a pizza place, right? I feel like you went to a pizza place. Yeah.
And they're famous for something. Oh.
Was it in Chesterton or was it in like LaPorte?
I think it's Val's Famous Pizza and Grinders. It was free plug. Great. It was great food. I remember, and I love the environment in there. It almost had like that 90s 80s esque kind of vibe, where it's like neon signs. It's a bar. There's a bar in there, and it's just so. It was so good. Oh yeah, and I had a little bit of a grinder.
You don't even need to go to Val's Pizza anymore.
I don't. I mean, Val's Pizza was so good, and the grinders were so good as well. I had a bite of one. It was unbelievable. That's why they're world famous or famous. Yeah, I'm trying to see images online. I'm trying to see, and it's like a small little quaint little shop. And I mean, when we went, it was freezing cold. So I mean, if it was like today, you guys can bear with it. Grinders.
Well, let's check out the weather forecast. So that actually just sparked something very curious to me. I wonder what the weather will be like.
Yeah, I hope no one.
Current conditions for Chesterton, Indiana. Friday, sunny with a high near 42. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 27. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 44. Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low around 32. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 44. No kind of precipitation of any kind in this forecast. No kind of moisture. No kind of anything. So hopefully that means safe travels for everyone. Hopefully that means no one is going to withdraw at the last minute. We have a full field ready to go. Would be ashamed to see anyone drop out, but also it will not be stupid, frigid cold. So if you need to get some fresh air during the day, it will not kill you to be outside.
Which last year I think it would have.
Yes.
Last year it was cold. It was cold.
All right. Well, we are almost 2 hours into the show. We are going to be wrapping it up here. Ethan will be there for the day, or hopefully a portion of the day. I will be there all day in all finals. You'll catch me there for Northrop Allure at 8 a.m. Or who's in the small division at 8 a.m.? Small division starts at 8:30 with Mother Mac, which is when Cosby Rhapsody goes. Oh, great. Well, that's phenomenal.
Maybe we do another
Mac going this year.
Maybe we do another live article this year.
Oh, golly. Mother Mac, please show up to Where Am I Going in Illinois this year? Oh, no. Looks like they only compete 2 times a year. Oh, that would be a real shame. I don't think they're on the El Paso lineup this year, which they were last year. Man. Anyways. Okay, well, maybe we'll do it. Did we have a good internet connection last year? Or did we have to hotspot? I think we had a hotspot, right?
Well, I think the computer, because I remember I brought my computer, it didn't work, but I could do it through the Wix phone app.
Okay. So we might do a live blog again.
Which was fun.
Which was fun. No guarantees. Certainly come and say hi to us if you see us. We don't bite. We promise. No guarantees on our opinions about your show, though. We might say, there were some timing issues with the band and the character number, and we'll shoot you straight if we think, because we're in the business of making show choir better. Or at least I am. Ethan might fluff you up. I don't know. But any final thoughts as we enter into this momentous weekend?
Chesterton has done it again. They have done it again. And they continue to prove that they can do it. And I applaud them for that. Because, I mean, you see so many competitions like Chesterton. They have a generational lineup. But then, it just dwindles over time. So far, they have been able to keep the standard of excellence. And when you have the facility to do it, why not do it, right? So, and we've seen competitions like Wheaton, who's only in a gym. They've been able to keep a standard of excellence. Like, I don't know, that gym is.
You ready to see John Burroughs this year?
Yeah, I'm so ready. But that gym isn't that big, and yet they keep.
No, it's not.
They keep attracting Clinton, Los Alamitos, John Burroughs, Burbank. All these.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do they do it? And Chesterton is getting into that level of how do they do it year after year. I applaud them. I applaud their team for putting on great events for the show choir community and for the performers, as well as spectators going to see show choir. And if it's your first time seeing show choir, please, please, please stick around, watch a few shows that you don't know people in, get you a wide scope of show choir across the country, because it's a beautiful thing that it all comes and converges in one place. Like, who knew? Chesterton, Indiana.
For sure. We will probably be doing a Chesterton recap a special episode? Probably.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
There's no chalk scenario for this, so no matter what happens, we're gonna be like, oh, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
That will be next week, Tuesday. I'm gonna put it on his calendar. We cannot wait for this Saturday to happen. We will see everyone there. For Ethan, I am William. Have a great weekend this weekend.